auto setup here. Alright, I think I'm all good. Streaming seems to be fine. No drop frame rate. CPU is all good. Hit rate's all good. Okay, cool. Alright, and now we can get back to drawing this two-page panel or double-page spread. Oh, I'm gonna start. Stop and start again. There we go. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. That's not what I wanted to do. Get this out of here. So I had this almost all inked up and ready to go, but there's a couple things on it that were bugging the crap out of me, so I decided to start inking it from scratch again. And yeah, I am liking the way that it's going. I've been using the G pen a lot on Clip Studio Paint for a lot of my artwork, and I'm starting to realize that I don't like the taperedness of the stroke on it. I like it for some things, but I found it was kind of like too loose at the end of my drawings. It made everything kind of just broken, which is not exactly what I'm going for down the long road, so. And I got my trusty sidekick Dexter next to me. He likes to lay down exactly where my keyboard is, but I had to delegate him to his real resting perch, which is next to me, which he doesn't really like that much, because he knows I need the keyboard to do stuff. Just like all cats, they want to be the center of attention, your attention at all times. Right, Dexter? Oh, I think my kid's back from school. Now I'm going to toss the smoke in on the cigar last. And as funny as it sounds, like I'm actually taking more of a traditional aspect with this. Like I'm actually following, along with the proper line weights and all that kind of stuff. I usually depend on the G pen for that, but like I said, since I'm trying to get away from using the G pen, so far I'm liking how the turnip pen, just standard feature on Clip Studio, how it's turning out. just want to see how this looks. That looks weird. Alright, so I'm going to be putting all these characters on separate layers, and then that way I can kind of adjust it if I need to. I had them all on one layer in the previous one, and wasn't too fond of how that turned out. But slowly, slowly getting the line work all done for this, which is good. It's been taking a while. Group shots always take me a long time to do. I don't want to make it too thick. It's supposed to be just like a thin little stone tablet. Okay, yeah. And I still got to work out a color scheme for all the outfits, which is one of the reasons why I decided to do this perk as the secret perk for the campaign. Is since it's going to be the only color whatsoever for the campaign, it'll also aid me in kind of getting a better visual grasp of how these characters look in color. For future, posters and all that kind of stuff. And it's one of those things too where it's not necessarily set in stone, but it'll be fun just to even just get the base tones on everybody. Like Nito here, he's going to be kind of like more tanned because he's grown up in like a jungle environment for the majority of his life. So obviously, his skin tone is going to be affected by that. And the fact that it's like a completely made up universe. I don't have to abide by earthly rules by any means, which is nice. Nobody getting upset about, well, whatever people will get upset about these days. Hats dropping and whatnot. I can adjust that, that looks weird. And I was hoping to have this done over the weekend, but the more that I drew on it, I was like, there's so much I gotta fix. So I spent a good chunk just kind of like reworking all that stuff. Ugh. Shaky ass lines. God bless the stabilizing feature. Or whatever deity you pray to. All I know is that it makes me not have a sore hand when I'm drawing. Hey kiddo, how's it going?
Fine.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was just wondering what Dexter was.
Yeah, he was just hanging out.
I'm watching. Okay.
How was your day?
Fine.
Yeah.
Tired.
Okay.
It's warm outside.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm done. Because I didn't have my water bottle with me.
Oh.
Oh, no.
I keep forgetting. Was it new? Well, I got the Shonen Jump app, which is awesome. By the way, if you're not signed up for it, I would suggest so. It is well worth the $2 or $3 a month. But was it new Samurai 8 just came out, and that's from the creator of Naruto. He's writing, and he's got one of his assistants drawing it. It seems like a pretty bonkers series already. Weird cyborg, samurai, cyberpunk, wackiness. Like I can't even put my finger on what it is. But I'm liking it so far. And also catching up on One Punch Man. I have to move those up just a little bit. Maybe about there. Maybe. Since it's gloves, I can kind of fudge it a little bit. That side's hidden. Oh, come on. There, that's better. Hopefully the music isn't too loud, and hopefully you can hear my voice just fine. There, now I can see what I'm doing. Put this on a separate layer. This be easier. So a couple of the rules that I got going on for the creation of the comic book is no cross-hatching. That's one of the rules. I'm allowed to do single directional lines like this for a shading effect. but nothing like that. Like the only time I'm allowed to quote unquote crosshatch is for signifying that something is dirty, and that's it, or tarnished, or potentially damaged. That's one of the quote unquote rules. Spot blacks. Now again, this one's a little bit tricky because I don't want to get too heavy with my blacks, so to speak. Because then it'll start turning into like a very rendered feel, and I don't want to do that. I want it to be pretty open. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Seriously? Come on, Clip Studio, you're dying on me here. So yeah, just making up a bunch of these little rules to try and not only streamline the process, but just kind of have a bit of a continuity with the artwork, because the artwork is going to evolve with the project over time. But if I have these initial rules set in place, then it should be the changes should be consistent as time rolls on. At least that's the idea. We'll see what actually happens in the long run. Hey, is it the Reasonal? Or is it the Arsenal? How's it going? Now, did I have him with black buttons? I'm pretty sure I did. I think that was part of the design. Could you draw Donald Trump? Yeah, I could, but not within this time frame. I'm working on my personal project right now, which is being funded on Indiegogo, so that's where the majority of my focus is. Plus, I'm in the point too where I want to draw things where I actually want to draw things, and Donald Trump is definitely not on the list of things I desire to draw. Stupid question, but have you tried Marvel DC? I actually have zero interest in getting hired by either of those companies. But back in the day, like oh my god, I'm talking like almost 20 plus years ago now, I applied. Actually got a rejection letter from Marvel, but it was like super constructive criticism, which was awesome. But man, that was like when I was like, what, 17, 18? But yeah, at this current point, I have no interest whatsoever working for Marvel or DC. Page rates are really low. You're working on somebody else's property. I don't really have anything that I would be bringing to the table. I don't have stories I want to tell with those characters. Plus, there's like a batch of other people who are far more passionate and want to be there doing it, so let them have it. I'd rather be working on my own projects, as ridiculous as they are. But yeah, that's not a stupid question at all. Definitely back in the day, it's one of the things that I wanted to do. But times have changed. Yeah, the page rates for Marvel and DC are yeah, they're pretty much almost not worth it at this point. Japanese manga company, their workload is way too intense. At best, I can do maybe like 10 pages a week. And that's like me going all out. They require 20 pages a week, and there's no way I can keep up with that workload. And again, you know, it breaks back down to I'd rather be working on my own personal projects at this point and do crowdfunding and slowly build up a small fan base. And that's kind of what I'm doing right now, so. I wish I was quick enough to do 20 pages a day, though. Oh, man. Or 20 pages a week. I kind of don't like that. I'm going to have to go back in and redraw those. I'll get that front hair later. Plus the other thing too is with the Japanese companies, the grind is so harsh and so terrible. A lot of the artists actually end up becoming almost like deathly ill from the workload. Yeah, there's been accounts of artists literally dropping dead at their tables. I think, what is it? On average, a week, they might have anywhere between 3 to 4 hours a week to themselves. That's like, you know, talking to family, hanging out with friends, and it has to be completely scheduled. Again, because of how intense the workload is for being a manga artist. And like all the props in the world to them, because that workload is monstrous, and the fact that they do it on a weekly basis. I'm sure if you worked on it, you could do 20 pages a week. Yeah, that's... Yeah, there's a lot of other things that come into play with that as well. Especially if I'm doing my own project and stuff like that. I gotta consider the marketing. But I don't want to work hard enough where I'm getting sick, you know? It's a young person's game. If you are within the age range of 18 to 32, that seems to be the peak period for being a manga artist. And then what happens from there, it appears that everybody kind of graduates to becoming a writer. And then they just do their own personal projects and have other people draw it. And they usually hire their assistants from their previous project, so... But yeah, pulling out 20 pages a week would be awesome, but then I'd be neglecting a bunch of other things. Like personal health, eating, laundry. Yeah, somebody sent me an actual list of the breakdown of the average workload or time schedule for a manga artist, and I was like, man, that's insane. Although at one point I would like to just try it, just as like, you know, just to see. Do it even for just 1 week. Just be like, oh my god, I'm dying. I'll have to fish up that schedule. Even if it's just as a reminder, you know, there's people out there quite literally giving it their all. Like, was it even the creator of Naruto? He got married in 2003 and didn't go on his honeymoon until 2014 after the series was completed. Are you a fan of Jim Lee's art? Oh yeah. Jim Lee was one of the guys that kind of grew up drawing and emulating and all that kind of stuff. It's pretty cool that he's on Twitch. It's fun watching him, you know, bang out a page from scratch. It's like, god damn. You know, it'll be like 4 hours and then it's like done. But, you know, again, the guy's been doing it for, what, 20 something years? Almost 30 years? here, get back to my G pin. Let's kind of work out these a little bit better. What about you? Do you draw at all? Yo, Mr. Big, what's shaking, man? How you doing? Yeah, I kind of started late, 26. Never too late to start, man. Nowhere near your level. I got a century to go. Oh no, dude! There's so many ways that you can boost up your drawing prowess. Like I've seen people go from no skill whatsoever to like kicking my ass in 3 years. So it's just a skill. That's all that it is. Mr. Big, doing okay. Neck is killing me. Brutal. I picked up inking about 2 years ago. Never too late. Yeah, that's it exactly. Yeah, I've literally seen people with absolutely quote-unquote zero artistic ability in under 3 years just become monsters. Like, blow me out of the water. I've been drawing forever. So it just depends on your desire, your application, how you learn, and what you put into it. And I almost find that people who haven't been drawing for a while have some life experience and then make the choice because essentially they're more focused on it, you know, and they've really zoned in on this is what I want to do, this is where I want to go, this is how I want to do it. They can kind of bypass the whole experimental stage that a lot of artists go through, which is, you know, well, I've been drawing since I was 17 and immediately got into tattooing, so that's where I got pushed into. So the artwork that I wanted to do, which has been comic book stuff, got put on the back burner for almost 2 decades. So now that I'm coming back, I have, you know, the focus of what I want to do. So it's helping me out that way, but there was a lot of stuff in there where it's just like, you know, if I would have dedicated myself to doing what I wanted to do, I'd be miles ahead of where I am right now. So yeah, if you just find the thing that you want to do, focus on it, and zero in on it, you'll be able to hit it relatively quick too. But the key thing is how much time, effort, and energy you're willing to put into it. That is the number one thing above all else. It's a game of hours at that point. Like, you're only going to get so good if you're only doing it like an hour or two a day, as opposed to the person that's, you know, doing it 5 hours a day. But it's all at your own pace too, you know, like, if you want to get there faster, you put more time into it. If you want to get there eventually, you'll get there eventually. It's no, you know, that's all on you and where you want to go. Great talking to you, dude. I'm bouncing. You got like an Instagram for your work? Yeah, it's just the same name, The Ryan Cardinal, on Instagram. Oh, apparently I don't have permission for it either. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I forgot. I haven't streamed it so long. I forgot all my commands. Is it? Let me see if it is. Okay, yeah, that is it. Alright, cool. Yo, Fitness, what's going on? How you doing? Just working away on my comic book stuff right now. I'm doing a 2-page cover for the book for my current Indiegogo campaign that's going on right now. I got 10 days left on it. And this is for the secret perk, which is only available to email subscribers. And this is going to be a full wraparound cover, full color. This will be the only cover for the entire project, because the entire book is black and white. And there's a limited number of these available to the email subscribers. Doing good, man. Just finishing all the hard parts of my comic. Nice. These main characters, mostly main characters. Like the guy that I'm drawing right now, Nito. He's a character that we're going to be following along with the majority of the story once we kick into that. Yeah, and as soon as I get done this, I get to start. I shouldn't say get to start, but I get to go back on doing the pages for the book. I spent the last almost like month and a half, 2 months getting ready for the campaign. So I haven't been able to draw pages as much. But now that this will be done, I'll get back to working on that stuff. Because I got like 30 pages drawn already, but first comic is slated to be 48 pages. So having the majority of that ready to go is vital, because I don't want to drag on the campaign too long. I kind of have the game plan of what I want to do with everything. And getting the books out as soon as possible is part of that game plan. So yeah, so me giving myself a deadline of June 8th to finish all my manual inking, and then I'm going to scan the computer clean up for coloring. I agree, I don't want to drag the copy. Yeah. Like, the comic is already a long format story, so the sooner I can get into the thick of it, the better. And also one of those things, once you get into the groove of telling the story and you keep that momentum going, it's a lot easier than having to like start up from scratch, you know, like if you've left it alone for like, you know, a week or two. Hey, Black Angus. How about off the bed work, but don't forget to follow up on the live stream if you want to display new potential backing audience. Wednesday would be great for me. Yeah. Wednesday sounds good, man. Name a time. Just send me a time, and I'll figure it out. Let's see, fitness. My problem is sometimes I want to make my comic too perfect at this point. I just want to draw assets and move on instead of procrastinating too long. You know what I mean? Yeah, that was one of the big problems that I had originally was it took me forever to start my comic. It wasn't so much about perfection, it just none of it felt right. I don't know how many times that I drew the first opening scene or opening act, and from how many different points of perspective and like angles, and I was like, dude, this is ridiculous. You're taking too long. And then I realized, kind of doesn't matter. You know, as long as I got everything mapped out, just hop into it. Because the best part about being your own artist, your own writer, all this kind of stuff, making your own stories up, you literally get to make up whatever the hell you want. It's all you. And you are the biggest obstacle in your way. You put down all the barriers that you want to overcome. And the biggest obstacle is always the one that you put in front of yourself. So if you can learn that and remove it, you start to realize how much easier things become when you're not blocking yourself. Rather than be like, oh, this is a problem. Be like, no, this is not a problem. This is an opportunity. Yeah, I feel with comics sometimes the point is get the message across instead of having absolutely perfect art. Yeah. Like both are vehicles to get to where you need to go, you know. Yeah, I'm working on my comic while streaming. Right on, right on. Yeah, nobody else will do your comic for you. June 8th deadline. Yeah, deadlines are key. Otherwise, you'll just be putting stuff off and putting stuff off. And I know that one all too well. Again, 90% of the time, you are your own biggest obstacle to your own happiness and to your own success. And once you figure that out, you figure out all the other obstacles aren't really that much of an obstacle. They just require time and effort. And if those two things don't equate, then that's when you need to collaborate. Because chances are, when you hit something that you can't take on by yourself with time and effort, it requires somebody else's knowledge to step in and assist you. And you gotta be able to ask for help. Which is tough. Especially when you're trying to do something quote-unquote all on your own. But you don't have to do everything on your own. It's okay to ask for help. And that's something that I've been working on. Something that I've always had trouble with. But it's getting easier. Yo, Dex out. How you doing? Super excited about back in your comic. Congratulations on the news. Hey, thank you, Dex out. Can you go over a little bit of what inspired you as far as the story and the characters? You know what? It's funny. It's not so much of inspiration, but it was more of a burst of creativity that just bubbled up out of nowhere. I'll pull up the original drawing here. Just gotta save this first. But yeah, I was sitting in a coffee shop. This is like 2005. And I was in the middle of trying to switch careers. I was a tattoo artist up until recently for 19 years. And at that point, I was trying to shift gears away from tattooing, get into something more along the lines of like video games, animation, doing storyboards or concept design. That was the idea. But on the verge of going to school, I was going to go take 3D game art and animation at this school called Kato. And that's what they focus on, is game art, animation, and stuff like that. So I decided I'm just going to go to a coffee shop, I'm going to sit down, and I'm going to draw stuff that has nothing to do with tattooing or the world of tattooing. And so I started drawing. And just started with a character, just a boy, and just kept adding from there. I'll pull up the original drawing here. I just gotta go into the archives. There it is. Copy image. I'll just drop them on here. Control V. Oh man, those are super tiny. Alright, I'm gonna have to zoom in. There they are. Oop. So this was the original drawing that I drew, and so I drew the kid first, and then I drew the chicken, and then the cat master, and then the snake, and with the final lines of the snake, the story literally just unfurled in my mind, beginning to end, just like, and yeah, that's kind of the origin of it. But yeah, from there I've been working on the story itself since 2005, chipping away at it, and the core arc of it has remained the same, and yeah, it's just been adding to it, taking stuff away from it, polishing it as much as I can. But there's only so much polish you can do to it until you actually do the project. And that's why I'm doing the crowdfunding now, is to actually get on the ball and start rolling with that. So hopefully that kind of explains a little bit of it there, Dexo. So toss this into there. But as far as like source inspiration too, like Dragon Ball's a good source inspiration, Naruto's a big inspiration, Avatar's a big inspiration. Avatar: The Last Airbender, not the blue-skinned aliens. What else? Yeah, just that adventure, fun storytelling with hints of ridiculousness. Let's see, fitness. If I said I don't get the manual inking done, I'm going to get my brother to come look at my comics or making decisions for me. Definitely don't want to do that. So I'm inking and making decisions as fast as I can before that. And that's really sick artwork. I've always loved the Polynesian style tattoos with the heavy dark treble. I can see why I gravitated towards your style. Oh, thanks. These are part of KAYAS? Yes, yeah. Yeah, those were the original characters. I'll just zoom out here. Yeah, so they've altered quite a bit, come a long way, but the core root of them is still there. Which is the important part. Hey, man with chicken, man. I'm using OBS for streaming. And I'm streaming simultaneously right now to both Twitch and to YouTube. And I'm using this music player called Pretzel Music Player, which apparently has a YouTube safe option. We'll see how safe it is. See how many copyright strikes I get. How you doing, man? Congrats on hitting your funding goal. If anybody is interested in checking out an awesome project, let me just find it here quickly. Give you a plug while I can. Explore comics. And there you are. Let's see, just going through the chat here. I really like the angry chicken. Yeah, his name's Trigger. Trigger the chicken. Yeah, it's really cool. I like how the combination characters looks, and looks like they don't belong together. Exactly. And yeah, if anybody's interested in checking out another cool indie project that's available right now on Indiegogo, go check out the link that I just put in there. And that is for Hero, Blood of the Patriots, which is being put together by Muttman and Macho Dan. Muttman do things. I was just checking on KAYAS. It's doing well. Love it. Oh, right on. Yeah, the key thing is just getting into meeting your funding goal, and then after that, it kind of opens you up for, potential things you can do down the road while it becomes in demand. Which is stuff I'm gonna have to scope out. Let's see. Get that back up. That back up. That back up. There we go. Yeah, Trigger is the chain-smoking, foul-mouthed chicken. I was trying to figure out a way so I can get swearing into the comic book without actually having to swear in the comic book. So, because he's a chicken, he says cluck and buck. So I'm just going to substitute those for every time that he swears. Which I think is a nice little cheeky workaround, because I'm trying to make it so if ever it got into an animated series, like it would be a pain in the ass for them to animate it, and that's completely on purpose, because I fucking hate the Standards and Practice Board. Can't stand them. But as things go, coming down the pipeline, you might not have to deal with them for much longer, because you can just do your own thing. Animations become commercially viable on your own, with things like Crazy Talk 8 and was it Crazy Animator? Give it a couple more years and you're going to be able to do absolutely everything on your own. The chicken is going to smoke and cook his insides without too much smoking. Well, he's yeah, it's part of his thing. He chain smokes, like he cannot not be smoking. Like he is perpetually smoking. As soon as he runs out of a cigar, he just goes under his wing and pulls a new one out. And again, it's just the way it is. He, like, you can look under his wing, there's no cigar. He'll put his little wing feather in there, he'll pull out another one. As soon as one goes out, he has to light another one. And there's always one there for him to smoke. It's almost like a D&D bag of holding, but all it holds is cigars. Nothing else. Kind of like Triumph the Insult Comic Dog? Yeah. I still gotta keep Nito's features kind of rounded and soft. Because he's only 15 at the start of the adventure. And as you can see from this preliminary sketch, Trigger's butt is on fire. That comes into play later on, much later on. Alright, now I'm going to draw Cat Master Lee. Cat Master Lee will be on a new layer. Yeah, Trigger the chicken. Trigger's full name is actually Tristan Gerard, so it's just Tristan, T-R-I, and then Gerard, G-E-R, put together, so Trigger. The kid is Nito, and Cat Master Lee, and then the snake, his name is Sissik. And Cat Master Lee is loosely named after Li Chu Lien, who's effectively known as the Chinese Immortal. He's got a pretty cool story all to himself. Learned of him on a podcast called Mysterious Universe. I was like, oh, that's a pretty badass name. Snake is gonna look cool. Yeah, I went through a bunch of different iterations with him. Because originally he was supposed to be like a diamondback with original like diamondback colors, so he was going to be patterned that way. And then I was like, man, I'm gonna have to draw that every single goddamn frame. It's like, dude, it's your comic book. You could be a black rattlesnake. I was like, oh, that makes it a lot easier. One of those things where you forget you're making shit up. You know, it doesn't have to be a certain way. You can just make it up to be whatever the fuck you want because it's yours, you know? It's like, you're just making up. See, this is what I love about storytelling. It's just lying. It's just one big lie that you tell that makes sense. And if somebody goes to contradict you, you can be like, no, I'm the creator. I can make it however I want. As long as it makes sense. That's all fiction is just one big giant lie that you're trying to keep straight. You're the master, basically god of your comic universe. Exactly, like that's one of the things I like about comic books so much is the amount of play and control you simultaneously have. Not only with the story, but the actual visual storytelling medium. Like, there's things you can do in comic books that you can't do in any other medium. Like, even in animation, you can't get away with things. Like, you can do a long vertical panel all the way down the side of a comic. And in animation, you know, that would have to be a pan, you know, and because you're limited by the boundary of what your screen has. So, like, yeah, it would be a long pan, but you wouldn't get the same effect as a single panel, you know? And there's also timing and rhythm tricks that you can do with panels that you can't. You can do with edits and cuts, but one of the things with comic books is that you allow the reader to have control of the time work and the time frame. As the writer and the artist, you give the suggestion of how it should go, but ultimately it's in the reader's hands on how they want to actually use the time and the pacing. So that's another thing that comic books has over every other medium. It's a collaborative method between the creator and the actual reader as being the participant, and when they get to read it, they also get to partake in the direction and the timing of stuff. It doesn't have to make sense if you don't want it to. Exactly. Like, if you're trying to make something like ultra serious and then you throw in ridiculous, you know, that's totally up to you. Like, Trigun does such a good job of being so ridiculous in the beginning, and then it becomes serious. But because it had its roots in ridiculousness, it allows you to go back to that without it being, you know, jarring. But if you start off serious and then you go ridiculous, it kind of pulls everything out from underneath it. It's almost like whatever you start as is supposed to be the main vibe of everything. Theoretically. Yeah, and the Indiegogo campaign is not too far off from hitting the first stretch goal, which is good. I think we're only maybe just over $500 away from hitting it, and that'll unlock the trading card. And I'm also doing a couple things with my campaign that I haven't seen other people doing with their campaigns. And the trading card is one of those things that I really haven't seen anybody do. Like, everybody's slapped in a trading card, but there are ulterior motives and plans for my trading card. Let's see. However, it will be the audience reader who will judge the comic. Something I keep in mind for my comic. Yeah. You could only do so much. And the other thing too is, it depends on what you're trying to accomplish with your comic. If you're making a single one shot, that's a lot you're trying to jam into one comic. If you're doing a mini-series, it gives you a little bit more breathing room to kind of tell the story, but also you're still jamming stuff into a limited arc. As or something with mine, because it's so sprawling, it would be like asking what happened in Dragon Ball? And you'd be like, what part? That's kind of what I'm going for, because what story arc, what era? Yeah, definitely taking more of a manga approach to the storytelling than a Western comic book storytelling forefront, because I personally enjoy it more. I believe that there's more room for growth, not only for your characters, but for the story. Allows for more change and dexterity, not only for your characters, but for you as an artist and for your writing. But that's just personal opinion on my part, There's a reason why kids are flocking to manga and leaving Western comic books behind. There's a reason for it. Hey, Tank, how's it going? Nice stream setup? Oh, thanks. How you doing today there, Tank? Let's see, fitness on Twitch. Something I'm going to keep in mind for my comic is that since this is only the second posted comic, I'm not expecting too much in terms of drawing quality. Tank Ferret, yep. Fitness on Twitch, so this will allow me to relax my standards a bit and learn to improve my future comic arts through feedback. Exactly. Tank Ferret on YouTube. I'm doing well. How are you? It's looking awesome. Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I almost had it done. But then I looked at it and was like, I'm not happy with it. I wasn't happy with the line quality, so I'm redrawing the whole thing over again. And I'm liking the way that's turning out this time around. I've come to realize that as much as I love the G pen on Clip Studio Paint, because of the way that it's tapered when I finish my line, it leaves these weird jaggedy open bits, and I'm not fond of that. So I've switched over to the turnip pen, which is a bit more blunt. And yeah, that seems to be working out a lot better for the end product that I want to do. Here's an example. I'm going to save this before anything happens. Alright, so I'm going to come over here and come to this character right here. This guy in the blue. So those are the new inks over top of it. I'll just de-blue him here. And then these are the old inks underneath it. It's subtle, but I like the difference. I don't know, you guys might not be able to tell, but I like the G pen because it gives you a brush-like effect. But for the end result of what I'm going for, I need more of a pen effect, and that's where the turnip pen comes in. Tank Ferret on YouTube. My wife and I were talking about static perspective, Western, and dynamic perspective last night. Nice. Yeah, it's like both have their place, but I find with the static perspective, I'd almost put the dynamic perspective in with cartooning as well, because with cartooning a lot of it is just it's all made up, you know, you just estimate where it is, and there's that weird aspect of it looks right even though technically it's not right. I forgot to put the tail on this guy. But yeah, also too, it has to depend where your camera angle is. I find one of the biggest problems with modern comic books is that the camera angle is set at eye level for every shot. And I'm just like, fuck, man, bring it down, raise it up, angle it, like something. Everything is just this dead, bland eye level, like human eye level, if that makes sense. Sorry, Rock Channel, that's right. Let's get back to Cat Master Lee. His gross ass stinky robes. So Cat Master Lee, I don't know if you ever like walked next to like a homeless person or been like downwind from one while walking. That's essentially the constant funk that Cat Master Lee has around him. And if you know what I'm talking about, it's pungent. Yes, and it's so boring, and there's no real camera flow to Western comics. There's also heavy reliance on a select set of camera angles. Yep, definitely agree with you there, Tank. Fitness on Twitch. He should spend a few quarters at a laundromat and get his clothes washed. There's reasons for everything. There's reasons why he stinks. I don't know. Another thing I'll say current Western comics, especially stuff that's being put out by like Marvel and DC. And DC's a little bit better for it because they let the artists kind of have a bit more control. Marvel seems really locked in with this, like the Tumblr style, and a big problem with that is, well, we all know what it is. We can see it. It's not fun. It's not exciting. It's not in your face. And if you look at anything that manga does, even their, like, the shoujo series or, the romance novels and all that stuff, everything looks awesome. Camera angles are awesome, the actions are awesome, the expressions are awesome. So for people that, that are getting hired by Marvel that love that stuff, it's just like, why aren't you taking the cues from the things that you enjoy? Actually, Cat Master Lee is behind him, so that's fine. Alright, now we go into the tricky part, and this is the part that made me redraw stuff. But how are things going on your end there, Tank? What are you working on today? Yeah, at this point, there's no point in complaining about, the powers that be over at Marvel and DC. They got their plan. They know what they're doing. They have their idea. They've been lustfully chasing after the young adult reader market for almost 15 years. And the funny thing is, they almost had it a couple times. But then they shot themselves in the face repeatedly. Because that's what a lot of this has to go to, is Marvel and DC both know that their reader base is aging out. And I was thinking of doing a video on this. Both Marvel, especially now that it's owned by Disney, you got to remember that they have executives who are number people who are borderline. How can I put this without being completely mean? They're just about the numbers. They don't view people as people. It's just about the bottom line. So that's how they're viewing stuff, and they've learned that they can bank on your nostalgia from what you grew up on, and that's where they shifted their focus from. They shifted their focus from having you in their comic books, and then they realized, like, oh, these people that grew up on this stuff, well, if we, for the next 10 to 20 years, shift them to movies, we can get a lot more money out of them this way, based on their nostalgia from what they grew up in a different format. And now we'll indoctrinate their children, because then we will give the children that same nostalgia effect, but directly in the movies. So they're completely negating the comic book side altogether, because they know that they can bank on nostalgia for at least 2, maybe 3 generations with the Marvel properties. Let's see, Tank Ferret on YouTube. I'm also doing a few sketches and remarks on print sets for customers. Nice. And I'm doing cover for a top secret Indiegogo. Right on, right on. That'll be fun. Yeah, I gotta do a little bit more research before I do this video, because I think a lot of it has to stem with the fact, I don't know if you guys were paying attention at all, but the Kirby Estate battle that Marvel was having, because the Kirby Estate, by all legitimate and legal means, had legal rights to every single character up until 1973 that Jack Kirby created. But they settled out of court. And this was right around the era, in 2014, when everything shifted from the way it was to the way that it is now. And I think a big push of what has been happening in, especially with Marvel, and their quote-unquote push for diversity, was never, ever a push for quote-unquote diversity. It was a push to legally get those characters away from the source material, which, if they lost the court case, they would be able to say that, well, those characters, yes, do belong to the Kirby Estate, we have retired them from Marvel, and now the title, which if you look at a lot of Marvel characters, they're now titles. It's the title of Thor, it's the title of Captain America, it's the title of Spider-Man, and what they're looking to do is hand these off to new characters, whoever they may be, so that way the mantle gets passed and the old ones can be put to bed, just in case. And this is what I think it was. I think it was more of a legal strategic move in case they lost, because there was a very, very good potential of them losing because of the Copyright Act in 1973. Because based on the Copyright Act in 1973, those characters technically belong to Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. Up until 1973, you were either an employee of the company or you were subcontracted, and the majority of work that was put out by Marvel at that time by Stan Lee, Stan Lee was a company man, but Jack was subcontracted because he was on page rate. So technically, his creations that he added to the Marvel Universe were his. They weren't company property, because, what is it? Work for hire did not exist until 1973 in the United States. And once work for hire came along, that's when creators basically lost their ability to cash in on their stuff. And that's what I think. I think the Marvel move toward diversity was not an actual move toward diversity. It was a move to safeguard their characters in the fact that they had a very, very good chance of losing. But the Kirby Estate apparently settled out of court. They probably got paid a insanely handsome out-of-court settlement, which is absolutely unfortunate because that would have set the grounds for comic book creators. Literally, like it would have sent shockwaves throughout the copyright, the world. But unfortunately, Disney must have ponied up so much money. I can't even begin to like imagine how much money they rolled up to the Kirby estate. But again, like I said, this is just me and my speculation. Because I remember right around this time, when all the lawsuits were happening with the Kirby estate, then I saw them switching the characters over, and I was like, oh, okay, I see what they're doing. I get what they're doing. At least that's how it's viewed from my perspective. I could be completely wrong. But like I said, I think the Kirby estate had a very, very good chance of getting a giant chunk of those characters away from Marvel. hand stretch. Alright, let's fix this. Oh, this looks like garbage. You know, one of those things where you're drawing and you're like, oh, it looks fine. You zoom in, it's just like, oh, this is hot trash. Alright, let's fix this hot trash. Well, let's finish drawing in the rest of it. And then fix it. Let's see, a couple of the other rules that I have for drawing. I'm trying not to have the characters have quote-unquote lips. I just want to kind of deal with it just like suggestive line. let's go in and fix all that garbage. That's fine, that's fine. Let's see, I just want to make sure that my center line is still okay. It's going to come over just a bit to about there. Okay. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine. Okay, let's get rid of that and that. And we'll blue line her and tone her down. Then we'll go in and properly draw her now. Sounds like proper editing to me. Yeah. Nope. Actually, I might have to go down to a font. Time is at 5:43. I'll probably go for a little bit longer here. I'll get Maya finished, and then I'll probably take a break, make supper, and then I might be back. What day is it today? Monday? Everything's a blur at this point. I'll have indication of lip. But not full on like lips. My squeaky chair. Hey Scott, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. Let's get back to... Oh, actually, I gotta check her costume design up quickly. Tab. There it is. Okay. All right. Then it comes down. Okay. And then it boosts out, and then turns into the zipper. Right. Great. Chicken livers? Oh, damn. All right, Tank, take it easy, man. Good luck on the drawing project. Yeah, I'm not going to be going too terribly much longer here as well. I'll probably just finish up this character here and then take a break. Go make some supper. Hey, Fitness. I just want to say I appreciate the art streams. They motivate me to get stuff on my comic as well. Oh, right on, man. I know how it is. It can be tricky sometimes trying to get started and get motivated to do stuff. That's one of the biggest hurdles I have with myself, is that initial push of getting started. And part of it has to do with the fact that I know once I start, I won't want to stop. You know, because you'll lose yourself for hours and hours in your artwork, getting stuff done. That's a good problem, right? Much closer to getting your comic done. Exactly. It's a how can I put it? A positive force multiplier problem. And I got the time to do it right now, and that's the important thing. Now that the campaign has it's reached its funding goal, so now all I have to do is kind of just keep promoting it, let people know that's there. And I can get back to drawing the book rather than focusing on just the campaign, because that eats up so much time in the day. You wouldn't think it, but just being online, typing simple things on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, messaging people, emailing people. Next thing you know, 6-7 hours have gone by and you haven't drawn anything because you're too busy doing the administrative stuff. But that's the important stuff in order for you to get where you need to go with your project. Because if you don't do that stuff, you're going to have no backers, you're not going to have anybody looking at it. So it's those little vital and necessary evils. They need to be done. Let's see, fitness on Twitch. I'm indecisive when choosing what to draw with my art. That's my problem. I need to get better in saying that's good enough, move on. Yeah, that's a tricky one. That's definitely a tricky one. Scott on YouTube. That makes you paper. Exactly. That's the legwork. That's the side of the art world that they don't really teach you. I wish that... I think that was one thing that I wish I would have learned a lot sooner in my art career. The sole fact that it is a business above all else. I think I would have had a completely different approach to it. But, hindsight's 20/20. Wouldas and couldas don't really matter. Let's see, fitness on Twitch. That's part of my perfectionist streak. It works well if I know what I'm doing. It really sucks when I don't know what I'm doing. Scott on YouTube. I'd love a tutorial on setting up an indie. Like an INDIEGOGO, or... Yeah. It's not that hard, it just takes time, the cool thing is you can start setting it up anytime you want. and then take as much time as you need dialing it in on how you want it to be portrayed. And you can also have it so you can send the link out to people to review it, overview it before you launch it. I didn't do any of that. I just looked at other people's successful campaigns, looked at it and like, okay, that works for me, that works for me, that works for me. One of the ones that I keep hearing is that I should have put a description right in the beginning, but I was like, whatever. It's a scroll down. If they're gonna scroll down, they're gonna scroll down. If that blurb doesn't capture them, then I'm not getting their money. You know, it's as simple as that. Plus, you have you have these word parameters. You're only allowed to use so many words in your first blurbs, so you got to be really concise and really specific on what you're trying to verbally convey, and that takes a little chunk of time to figure out. At least it did for me. You might be a wordsmith, so it might be a little bit easier for you. But definitely for me, it took a while of writing and rewriting and stuff. That's where a lot of my time comes in, is trying to whittle down what I'm trying to say into a nice, clear, concise, specific word count, or letter count, I should say. And another thing too is trying to not only be clear and concise, but also make it idiot proof. Because you got to remember that whatever you're doing, whatever you have to say, you know what you're saying and you know where it's coming from, but the rest of the world has no clue as to what the hell it is that you're trying to make. So you have to constantly keep dialing it back and being like they don't know the stuff you know, so you can't put any of that crap in there. You have to make it clear, concise, and almost like idiot proof. Like, you have to look at it as if you're a moron, you don't know anything about this, you literally fell off of a truck and this is the first thing that you saw, and you got the money in your hand and you're gonna buy it. Again, the biggest thing in the way, more times than not, is yourself in your campaign. I would say probably the biggest detriment to anybody's campaign is the creator, or the writer, or the artist, you know, whoever these factors might be, because part of that problem is they know where the project's going, but the readers don't, and there's this weird jump association where you kind of almost instinctively assume that everyone else is on board, but that's not the case, you know. So little hiccups like that, those were things that I had to watch out for, and I had to go back and re-edit my stuff because I noticed that I was doing those things, and I was like, oh, but once we get it going, and it's like, no. These people have no idea what you're doing. Don't assume they're going to be on board. You have to give them just enough to entice, just enough to ask questions, but also enough to get the idea of whatever it is you're doing across. Which kind of sucks for me, because the way that my story structure is laid out, what it is it's a journey story, it's a quest story, but book one kind of has nothing to do with it, but it's the way the story is unfolding. So all the events that are happening in issue one even though they are vital to the overall story and the overall characters, ultimately, once the ball really gets rolling, we're not going to be following those characters. I appreciate the insights. Yeah, no problem, no problem. Yeah. Yeah, almost always the creator is the biggest hurdle to get over for the projects. One thing I would suggest is simply just going to look at Indiegogo trailers, Indiegogo videos, Indiegogo campaigns of, you know, people doing comic books, or people doing art books, or doing whatever project that they're doing. Watch their trailer, but don't watch their trailer for the sake of watching the trailer. Watch the trailer and feel your gut reaction while you're watching it. That'll give you the ultimate insight as to what not to do. I ended up probably watching about 12 hours worth of Kickstarter and Indiegogo trailers in the process of making my trailer, and the number one thing that I found out of all of it is, as soon as the creator starts talking about anything about their project, my initial gut reaction was, I don't want to fucking buy this. That was, again, that's just me. And I don't know why, but I went on the assumption, like, if that's how I feel, I can almost guarantee that's how a lot of other people feel. So I completely negated myself in that equation when I made my trailer. I took myself out. I didn't say anything. I just let the trailer speak of what it is. And my goal for the trailer was simply to have you watch it and go, cool, what is this? And if I accomplish that, I got you onto the next level of where I wanted you. And that's asking what the project is. Again, I put a bunch of hurdles up in front of myself because I'm the creator, and, you know, again, I was just like, okay, what are the problems that I'm putting up in front of myself? And it's like, oh, that's a problem. Okay, I gotta figure that out and turn that into an opportunity rather than it being an issue. Dan, 12 hours? Oh yeah. Like, a lot of research went into me trying to figure stuff out. Oh, thanks, Scott. Fitness from Twitch. Yeah, trailers are to get the viewer interested in your project and willing to spend the time to invest in it. Exactly. Nothing makes me not want to support something than hearing the creator talk about their hopes and dreams, you know? It's like, maybe it's just me being like a fucking cynical dick or something like that, but like, I don't know what it is. And out of literally those almost 12 hours of watching trailers, there was maybe a handful of trailers where I was like, that's a good trailer, that's a good trailer, that's a good trailer. A handful. Just a handful. And I was all over the place. Like, I was watching like board game trailers, comic book trailers, children's book trailers, anything to do with the arts and stuff like that. And I branched out to a couple different areas, but I was like, all right, that doesn't really apply to this. But also at the same time, I was like, okay, how are they projecting and using their marketing to get what they want? You know, like on like technology products and stuff like that. So I took all that stuff into mind as well. Show, don't tell, exactly. Yo, Manny, we're chicken, man. Yo, Skunk Girl, what's going on? Fitness from Twitch. That's what I learned from my first comic. People like to see the tangible art and work rather than someone just talking about it. Exactly, exactly. Okay, I'm still on. Just gotta clean that up a bit. How's everything going, Manny? Yeah, I'm just probably gonna end up finishing up this character and take a break, grab something to eat, cook some supper, all that fun stuff. Let's see, Unbreathable Skunk Girl on YouTube. I think he just went downstairs to eat. Ah, okay, okay. Good Dog Press on YouTube. Working on Skunk Girl pages, then doing a stream in 45 minutes. Oh, okay, cool. You know what? I'll hop on with you because, like I said, I'm just gonna wrap up this, grab something to eat, and if that's cool. If not, you could tell me to go kick bricks. Hey, you know what? I'm gonna just cheat and put the snake in front of there. Dope, dope. Whoop. Awesome. Clip Studio Paint hasn't done that in a while. Let's see how good this recovery is. Oh, not bad, not bad, not bad. I haven't had Clip Studio crash on me in ages. But that works out because I'm going to be doing the snake running through there anyway, so whatever. Just gotta go in and fix your face. Actually, I could technically make her a little bit bigger. Let's do that. Make a copy, blow her up just a little bit. Just, yeah. I could nudge her over. Like so. Alright, cool. Clip Studio has an autosave feature on it that'll, you can set it up to be like, you know, every 5 minutes or every 15 minutes, so yeah, so when it crashes it'll save at the last previous save point. But the thing is, it'll save as a separate file, so you gotta go in and just resave it. More reasons to get Clip Studio Paint. Exactly, exactly. Yeah, it didn't used to have an autosave feature. I think it was until, last year that they implemented it. And for the most part, like, it's super solid. I can just pull those scales over just a little bit there. It's gonna fall off in the bleed anyway, so It's not vital, but still needs to be there. Let's see, fitness. Ryan, I have a question. If a scene or a part of a comic is too difficult to draw, do you just postpone to another time when you have more information? Yeah, that's it exactly. Like, if it's something that's requiring a ton of resources and time, like I'll sketch it and block it out, and I'll keep coming back to it and chipping away at it until it gets someplace where I can work with it. But yeah, if it's requiring way too much energy on my part, I'll move on to something, because like it's the efficiency of time. Like if I have pages that I can get to that I know that I can bang out, as opposed to this one layout that's giving me grief, go work on the stuff that you're going to be productive on, because getting hung up on something that may not work, because usually that's what ends up happening, is that you're battling with yourself over something that you really, really want, but you either don't have the resources or technical ability to do it, and you're really trying to push yourself to get this specific thing done. You can waste your time doing that, or bang out pages that are a bunch of faces, So, especially when you have deadlines and stuff like that, you got to pick your battles, and yeah, usually try and get all the quick stuff done, so that way you have more time to operate the more difficult tasks. Oh no. Well, it's not postponing. It's working efficiently. So like, would you rather spend all this time crunching to trying to get one thing done, and then scrambling to finish up all this other stuff, or get all this other work done so you actually have more time, or I should say, like, less pressure doing something that is more taxing? Yeah, it seems to be a standard with a lot of the animation guys that I worked with, and even when I was doing boards and stuff like that, I would find storyboards. I was like, all right, I know I can board this section out really quickly. Another section, I'd be like, that's a nightmare. I'm gonna leave that till later. Because there's this other miraculous thing that happens once a deadline looms. You pull shit out of your ass, out of the blue, things that you didn't think that you were capable of doing. When it comes down to crunch time, those difficult tasks work themselves out. I've had it happen to myself many, many a time. I've seen it happen to other people many, many a time. And I can't remember what the saying is, but it's something like, a project will take just as long as the time is allotted, which means if you have 6 months to get the project done, it's going to take you 6 months to get it done, even though it may only be a 1-month project. Or it could be a 6-month project, but you only have 1 month to get it done. You'll get that 6-month project done in 1 month. Yep, I agree to divert your energy to resources getting progress done as opposed to stubbornly getting a hard page done. Exactly. getting a 6-month project done in 1 month. You've been there, similar project. Yeah. I can't remember what it is. It's somebody came up with it as like a saying or a formula or something like that, and apparently it rings true to a lot of things. Alright, cool. Well, I'm going to wrap it up here for right now. Big thanks for everyone that popped by, both on Twitch and on YouTube. I'm going to be hopping over to Good Dog Press on his YouTube channel once he's up and running. But if anybody is still here checking stuff out, I implore you to go check out KAYAScomic.com. Sign up to the mailing list. You'll get an 8-page preview of the comic, plus you'll get access to the secret perk, which is a full cover color wraparound limited edition for the comic book, and that's what this is going to be. And yeah, the campaign has 10 days left, so yeah, go check out the campaign, which is on Indiegogo. Do I have links up? I don't think I got links up. I'll throw a link in right now. Scott, keep it simple, stupid is my favorite. Yep, exactly. And that's going to wrap it up for me right now. So, again, thanks everybody for popping by, hanging out. I'm going to be over at Good Dog Press, probably about an hour or so, once I'm done, finished eating and making food. So, peace out, everybody. Thanks for stopping by.